My manager made a new policy that destroyed his own career. My manager, Robert, had just come to our company 6 months ago, which should have been my first red flag. In Friday's meeting, he pointed directly at me in front of everyone. I felt my face getting hot. 20 coworkers were staring at me. I was an hourly contractor who just worked 70 hours that week. You never answer my texts after work, he said, his voice dripping with contempt. Last night's text about that spreadsheet. You didn't reply until morning. The spreadsheet wasn't due for 2 weeks. I wanted to tell him I'd been asleep at 9 p.m. because I'd been up since 4 a.m. finishing his other requests. He pulled up a new policy on the screen. Effective immediately. All hourly contractors must respond to any communication within 15 minutes around the clock. This is mandatory. Failure to comply means immediate termination, he announced. My hands started shaking. He sent it to the team, HR, and payroll right there. Then he locked eyes with me. Especially you, day and night, 15 minutes, or you're fired, he said. My coworker grabbed my arm under the table and showed me her phone. It was the labor law website. Hourly workers must be paid for all mandatory work time. My anger transformed into excitement. I realized Robert had just signed his own death warrant. I said, understood. Mandatory availability starting now. Robert smiled like he'd won. He had no idea what he'd just done. That Friday night, I was eating dinner when my phone buzzed. Robert, quarterly projections, 11:30 at night. My wife looked at me concerned. I smiled and responded immediately, then wrote down 15 minutes of overtime. $25. Midnight, my phone lit up again. Formatting questions. My heart was pounding with anticipation now, not dread. Another 15 minutes. Another $25. At 2 in the morning, he actually called. I answered on the first ring, wide awake and ready. 1 hour logged, $50. I was documenting everything, screenshots, saving texts, because I knew this was going to be huge. By Monday, my timesheet showed $800 in overtime. The admin called me, voice shaking with confusion. I forwarded Robert's mandatory policy. I explained. He said termination if we don't respond. She went dead silent. I could hear her breathing. Then quietly, she said she'd process it. Robert stormed to my desk an hour later. His face was already red, veins bulging in his neck. You can't bill for texts, he screamed. People turned to stare. Perfect. I wanted witnesses. I calmly showed him his own email with mandatory and termination highlighted. I said, your policy makes it required work time. He actually grabbed my timesheet and ripped it in half, papers flying everywhere. I couldn't stop smiling. That's a copy. Originals already submitted, I told him. His face went from red to purple. I thought he might actually hit me. That week became a game of chicken. He bombarded me with texts at ungodly hours, probably pacing his bedroom thinking I'd crack. 5 a.m. questions about fonts, 3 a.m. calls about meeting agendas. Each time my phone buzzed, I felt a surge of adrenaline. Ka-ching, another $25. By Thursday, I'd logged $2,000 in overtime. I was exhausted but euphoric. Then something magical happened. Robert, drunk on power, bragged to another department about his productivity hack. They implemented it immediately. Within days, 12 more contractors were billing overnight hours. The best part was watching Robert's face when he realized what he'd unleashed. Friday's emergency audit revealed $40,000 in unexpected overtime costs. The auditor pulled his phone logs, hundreds of after-hours texts, all marked urgent for things like font choices and calendar invites. Robert's voice cracked when he said, they're gaming the system. The auditor stared at him with disgust. She said, you made it mandatory with termination threats. That's legally compensable time. Then she asked the question that made Robert's knees buckle. Is this why you left your last 2 companies? His shirt was soaked with sweat. Monday morning felt like Christmas. The CEO arrived with legal and someone I didn't recognize. My pulse was racing. The CEO said, this is Investigator Mills from the Department of Labor. Robert literally stumbled backward. Mills said, we found something interesting. You created a mandatory policy that violates federal labor law. You made hourly workers available around the clock under threat of termination. I watched Robert's world crumble in real time. His hands were trembling so badly he couldn't hold his coffee. That's different, he stammered. Mills cut him off cold. You knew this violated federal law. Every company knows you can't do this to hourly workers, she said. Robert spun toward me, desperation in his eyes, and pointed a shaking finger. He orchestrated this, he screamed, spit flying. I felt perfectly calm. I slowly pulled out my phone and showed the texts, every single one demanding immediate response or threatening termination. All hours, weekends. Mills turned to Robert with pure contempt. You texted hourly workers all night threatening their jobs. That's wage theft if unpaid, coercion if forced, she said. Robert lunged for his computer to delete the evidence. Mills said, already documented, holding up a folder. I watched him break completely. Robert cried, policy terminated immediately, but legal said all overtime must be paid, $90,000. Monday morning, Robert's badge didn't work. He was escorted out in front of everyone. The CEO fired him for creating massive legal liability.